Hello, it's John Heaton, and today I'm going to do something a bit different. I'm going to review this album from Jeff Wayne, his musical version of War of the Worlds, the H.G. Wells novel released in 1897. So this double album came out in 1978 with some superb artwork. And the good thing about albums is you can appreciate the artwork. This is the gatefold. So basically it's about a Martian invasion of London, of England, or of Earth, and they came to London. Actually they came to Surrey, which is just where I come from, near where I come from, and a lot of the places are mentioned by name, such as where the Martians landed here on Horsell Common is an actual common just near Woking in Surrey, and lots of other places are mentioned, such as Weybridge, Byfleet. So it brings it to home, brings it close to home, and then later on in London, Waterloo Bridge and Islington. So I have to check out the book. Maybe I did read it years ago, but I don't remember it. I have to reread it, I think. But it's a great adaptation, if you like this kind of thing, a musical adaptation of War of the Worlds, done, extravagantly, and a host of stars are on this. Jeff Wayne, I looked him up because I wasn't sure what else he'd done. He's basically famous, apart from this, for doing lots of advertising jingles and theme tunes for TV series, such as The Big Match in the UK, Good Morning Britain and stuff. But this is probably his greatest legacy, this piece of work released in 1978. And he was lucky enough to attract a lot of heavyweight people to come and help him with it, which really helps make the album. Richard Burton, the famous actor, 1925 to 1984, is narrating and very grippingly doing the job there. Really adds to the atmosphere and the sense of foreboding. This is towards the end of his life when he did this. Let me see, Jeff Taylor does a lot of the illustrations that I showed you, or I will show you. This is, in the booklet you get these great illustrations. This is the people fleeing, and the red weed. Well, this is the Martian ship destroying the human vessel called the Thunder Child, and wonderful captions to go with it, like the Thunder Child vanished forever, taking with her man's last hope of victory. The Earth belonged to the Martians. Great. And then this is the red weed, which took over when the Martians came, and everyone died. And then just when you think, and then David Essex, who plays the artilleryman, he thinks we'll build a brave new world underground, which is not a bad idea, but it's a bit of a dream. And then the Martians actually get wiped out by nothing other than just earthly bacteria, and you think it's a happy ending, and then there's a twist at the end. I won't ruin it for you in case you want to check it out. It's very gripping. I don't think we can do spoilers 120 years after the book was written. But anyway, so Jeff Wayne's behind it all. He plays keyboards, and it's kind of keyboard synthesizer-driven music, but very atmospheric and very fitting to the concept of a Martian invasion. And very atmospheric, and some great electric guitar from, as always, it's a small world, and there's a link to everything, and Chris Spedding is playing guitar. And Chris Spedding is famous. He's played with all kinds of people, but most notably in my memory he played with Jack Bruce on Harmony Row, and he was the lead guitar in the Wombles. And then Herbie Flowers is on bass, who played bass on Gone Troppo, George Harrison, and also played bass on Diamond Dogs, David Bowie, which is another kind of futuristic project, sense of calamity with 1984 and all that. So interesting that Herbie Flowers plays on both of those projects. The other musician's not quite so well known, but we've got that's musician-wise, but then singing-wise we've got Justin Hayward, the lead singer of the Moody Blues, who sings a couple of the big songs on here, Forever Autumn being the big hit. And and also sings that famous line on side one, the chances of anything coming from Mars are 1,000,000 to 1, he said. That is the highlight of the album, I think, the eve of the war, the side one, the way it builds up, and it starts off, you think it's just a normal day with normal things happening, and then gradually you realise it's not. Other people on here are David Essex, who was in That'll Be the Day with Ringo Starr from '73, and also had hits of his own, The Winter's Tale and stuff, and played on the stage version of Evita, Andrew Lloyd Webber, Tim Rice, and then Julie Covington played Ava Peron on the original record of Evita, and we've got Phil Lynott, no longer with us, the lead singer of Thin Lizzy is on here as well, Joe Partridge, Chris Thompson, who was a member of the Manfred Mann Earth Band, Joe Partridge, Jeff Wayne, so and Jeff Taylor does some of these superb pictures, and Peter Goodfellow does this one. So, some of the reviews I dug out. There's no music to begin with, just a voice. The voice of the late, great Richard Burton. The voice does not tremble, mutter, or stumble over words, but what it says is frightening. An almost overwhelming sense of foreboding creeps into Burton's voice as he fairly whispers, slowly and surely, they drew their plans against us. It really has to be heard to be believed, Richard Burton's narration. I wouldn't say it's the highlight of his career, but it's certainly the highlight of his career for me. I mean, I don't know too many of his films, but the job he does here is just sensational. And then later on this review says that the music is the real star of the show. Conveying dread and terror through melodies that sound jaunty and lively is no easy task. But through use of clever implementation of subtle asides and eschewing conventional structures for rhythm and depth, Wayne has successfully married two elements in a union of utter genius. So, I think I mentioned they land on Horsell Common in Surrey, which is an actual common. It exists. It's right next to Woking, and we've got to go and check it out, I think. Apparently it's a pilgrim location for a lot of sci-fi buffs over the years, so I probably won't be the only one there. But other places are mentioned in the local area, which I know because I've been on that. I know them from the train line down to Woking. The stops like Byfleet is mentioned, Weybridge is mentioned, where John and Ringo lived in the 60s, by the way. And then later on, and then things like Maybury Hill is mentioned, and that exists in Woking. So great use of local colour. And then as he moves towards London, Waterloo Bridge and Westminster Bridge and Islington. So it really brings it close to home, the fact that the Martians have invaded, and they haven't just invaded any old where, they've invaded a couple of miles from where I grew up, which makes it even more frightening. Just a superb period piece, this War of the Worlds, and maybe it's not everyone's cup of tea. The music is, for the most part, evocative, moody, and moving. Great use of electric guitar on the side two, on the Horsell Common, the Heat Ray piece. A mixture of synthesizer and electric guitar, really, really well done, well put together, well structured, the whole thing. And then side one with that catchy melody, the chances of anything coming from Mars are 1,000,000 to 1. He said that sticks in the brain. It always has done with me. I never owned this record in my childhood, although I remember it. I never owned it on CD either, but I found it in a Sunday market in the UK last weekend, and I was delighted. Because if you want my advice, get this record, turn the lights out, and play it loud from start to finish. Well, you'd have to get up to change the sides, but or you could play the CD. Because I think it really does take you somewhere. And I got to check out the book, because that's where the inspiration came from, although the combination of H.G. Wells' story with the music I think is a good one. And I'm really glad that I've picked this up, and I wouldn't be without it now, and better late than never, as they say, in actually owning it, and I thoroughly recommend it. So thank you for watching. See you next time.